K2-18b is one of the most intriguing worlds discovered beyond our solar system. More than 100 light-years away, this sub-Neptune has become a major target in the search for environments that might potentially support life. For centuries, humanity has wondered whether Earth is the only world where life exists. Today, powerful observatories such as the James Webb Space Telescope are giving scientists the ability to investigate distant planetary atmospheres in ways that were previously impossible. K2-18b is especially interesting because it is larger than Earth but smaller than Neptune. It belongs to a category known as sub-Neptunes, worlds that have no direct equivalent in our solar system. Their size, atmospheric composition, and possible internal structure make them difficult to understand using Earth or Neptune as simple comparisons. The planet orbits a cool red dwarf star, and its position relative to that star places it in a region where liquid water could potentially exist under the right atmospheric conditions. But being inside a habitable zone does not automatically make a planet habitable. Atmosphere, pressure, temperature, chemistry, and many other factors all matter. That is where Webb becomes important. Instead of photographing K2-18b directly, astronomers can study its atmosphere through a technique called transit spectroscopy. When the planet passes in front of its star, some of the starlight travels through the planet's atmosphere. Different molecules absorb different wavelengths, leaving subtle chemical fingerprints in the observed light. Using this method, scientists have detected evidence of molecules including water vapor, methane, and carbon dioxide in observations of K2-18b. These findings make the planet particularly interesting, but they should not be interpreted as proof of life. One of the most discussed possibilities has been dimethyl sulfide, or DMS. On Earth, this molecule is strongly associated with biological activity, particularly marine microorganisms. That makes it an intriguing potential biosignature. However, a possible atmospheric detection is not the same as discovering extraterrestrial life. Scientists must determine whether the signal is genuine, whether the molecule is actually present in significant quantities, and whether non-biological processes could produce it under the conditions found on K2-18b. That uncertainty is exactly what makes the planet scientifically valuable. Even without evidence of life, K2-18b could teach researchers something fundamental about planets that are unlike Earth. It may represent a type of world where oceans and atmospheres interact under conditions completely different from those found on our planet. Some researchers have proposed that worlds like K2-18b could belong to a theoretical category known as Hycean worlds. These planets may have hydrogen-rich atmospheres surrounding large amounts of water. If such environments can remain stable, they could potentially provide alternative settings where life might exist. And that changes the question. Instead of asking only where we can find another Earth, scientists can begin asking where the physical and chemical conditions necessary for life might emerge in many different kinds of planetary environments. K2-18b therefore represents more than one distant planet. It is a test case for a much broader idea, that the universe may contain habitable environments that look nothing like our home. But the biggest mystery remains unanswered. Is there actually life beneath its atmosphere? At present, we simply do not know. What we do have is a distant world, intriguing atmospheric chemistry, and an extraordinary opportunity for future observations to investigate it more carefully. And that is where the story of K2-18b becomes even more fascinating. To understand why K2-18b has attracted so much attention, we need to look beyond its atmospheric molecules and consider what kind of planet it might actually be. One possibility is that K2-18b belongs to a theoretical class called Hycean worlds. The term combines the ideas of hydrogen and ocean, describing planets that could possess hydrogen-rich atmospheres and substantial amounts of water. These worlds would be very different from Earth. Instead of continents surrounded by familiar oceans beneath a relatively thin atmosphere, a Hycean planet could have a deep global ocean beneath a thick atmospheric envelope. The conditions at the boundary between atmosphere and ocean could be extremely different from anything humans experience on Earth. And yet, some theoretical models suggest that liquid water could exist under certain conditions. That raises an extraordinary question. Could life survive there? We do not currently know. Life on such a world, if it existed, might not resemble anything familiar. There could be no forests, no continents, and no large animals walking across a surface like Earth's. Instead, life could potentially exist in microscopic forms within an enormous ocean. This possibility is important because scientists have learned on Earth that life can survive in surprisingly extreme environments. Organisms can inhabit places with high pressure, unusual chemistry, extreme temperatures, and little sunlight. That does not prove that K2-18b contains life. It simply shows that the definition of a potentially habitable environment may be broader than scientists once imagined. K2-18b is also attractive because its large size and substantial atmosphere make atmospheric measurements more accessible than they would be for many smaller rocky planets. Webb can examine the planet as it passes across its star and search for changes in the starlight caused by atmospheric molecules. This is essentially a chemical fingerprint. Water vapor can leave one pattern. Methane can leave another. Carbon dioxide produces its own spectral signature. By combining these observations with atmospheric models, scientists can estimate what might be present above the planet. The possibility of DMS adds another layer to the mystery. Because DMS is associated with biological activity on Earth, its potential presence attracted considerable attention. But scientists have emphasized that more observations are required. A biosignature must survive intense scrutiny. Researchers need repeated measurements, independent analyses, and models capable of accounting for non-biological chemistry. Only after those possibilities are carefully examined can scientists determine whether a signal is genuinely unusual. This is one of the most important principles in the search for alien life. A fascinating chemical signal is not enough. Scientists need evidence that survives alternative explanations. And K2-18b provides exactly the kind of target where that process can take place. Future observations could reveal more about its atmosphere, temperature, chemistry, and possible cloud structure. They could also help determine whether the planet's environment is compatible with the conditions predicted for Hycean worlds. Even if no life is eventually found, the scientific importance of K2-18b would remain. It could help researchers understand how sub-Neptune planets form, how their atmospheres evolve, and how water behaves on worlds very different from Earth. More importantly, it could expand the search for life beyond the traditional Earth-like template. The universe may not have only one pathway toward habitability. There could be rocky planets, ocean worlds, icy moons, and perhaps hydrogen-rich planets with deep oceans that provide environments suitable for biology. K2-18b is therefore not a confirmed alien world. It is something more scientifically useful, a natural laboratory located more than 100 light-years away. Its atmosphere gives astronomers clues. Its chemistry raises questions. And its possible ocean environment provides a fascinating test of how broadly life might be able to exist. For now, the mystery remains open. We do not know whether K2-18b contains life. We do not know whether the debated DMS signal will ultimately be confirmed. And we do not know what conditions exist beneath its atmosphere. But for the first time, instruments powerful enough to investigate these questions are operating far beyond the limits of previous generations. The search continues. And somewhere more than 100 light-years away, K2-18b remains one of the most intriguing worlds waiting for humanity to understand it.